every NBA game, G League, WNBA, or the NBA is like there's content creators, there's videographers, there's photographers. You just gotta link up with them or message the artist directly or message the photographer and be like, hey man, you cool if I, that's what I do. It's like, hey, you cool if I post it, man? I love the work. I would say 99% of the time they're like, dude, please share my stuff.
Right.
So that's just kind of how we get around and why we look bigger than we are. It looks like we're in Atlanta one day, we look like we're in New York the next day. Like, no, man, I'm in my house. I'm at home, man.
Welcome everyone to the Make Better Content podcast, where we get the perspective of real entrepreneurs, small business owners, and creatives on how they use and develop content and content strategy to help build businesses and brands. On this episode, we had the pleasure of sitting down with Kevin Gray, the co-founder of New Jersey Sets, a design and apparel company specializing in customized jerseys for everyone from pro athletes and teams, entertainers, and even your local rec league team and private events. Some of their notable clients are the NBA, WNBA, Wild 'N Out, Jordan Brand, and Beast Mode. And they also have their own online shop where they sell exclusively designed apparel, much of which is inspired by basketball culture. In this episode, we talk about the creative skills needed for small business owners, how to collaborate with others to produce and post more content, and much more. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast. Is it your strength mostly in the concept or the actual design and art, or all of it?
Yeah, more so. Like initially, I hate the term CEO, even though it's like technically the term. Yeah. Owner is fine, founder is great, but initially, I felt like just a creative director, because I don't have I have decent skills in Photoshop. But more I felt like I had the creative direction and the vision for where I wanted things to go. So that's where I had, whether it was partners or hired kind of help to be that specific person. Like, well, now like we have an in-house design team, right? Which from illustrator to graphic design that like specifically just do that thing. And sometimes it's, their vision, but a lot of times it's kind of like my concepts and then what I feel like it should look like, the color schemes, or what I want the words to say, or how I want the fonts to look and feel. So like a lot of it is imparting like my vision and art design and like my creative eye. Yeah. But yeah, the technical skills part, like, no, I'm not.
For sure.
So I want to push to video too, right?
Okay.
So,
I want to push more into that though. So I mean, because I see that as that's still a really that's still a creative skill. You need, if you didn't have that, then how could you end up making the last call on things? How can you even come up with a concept, right? You're not going to rely fully on the design team to come up with these concepts, right?
Yeah, so. Because there's a really interesting take. Someone told me this a long time ago, and it stuck with me. In the art world or in the business world, you can just be the most kick-ass artist, but if you don't know how to sell, you don't know how to market, you don't know how to promote, then your art's just going to stay in your room, right? It's going to stay in that one page with 10 followers. That it's fine for you. And if art is your therapy, then great. But if you want to like find a way to monetize it and make a business and put it out there, then you got to have skills that actually translate into, marketing, putting it out there, but also like giving it some legs. Because the art can be art. I mean, we're just like creating stuff, or like, but I think that's just as important as not having good art, is kind of like finding a way to get it out there and finding a way for people to resonate with it.
Cool. So when you talk about like the marketing side, getting it out there, so obviously today it's way different, but just taking back like maybe 5-6 years ago, what was the kind of like the content strategy like? So we can parallel it to today in a little bit.
Man, I mean, when we started 9-10 years ago, Instagram was just kind of starting. I mean, obviously a lot of people had Instagram at the time, but it was really just to post a picture and talk about it or whatever. So that was like the strategy. And it's funny because things go in cycles again. So now it's the same thing. It's like, just post the video, just go on TikTok. Now it's TikTok, right? So strategies change in a way, but they're also the same. It's like you just have to get it out there. And right now we just have so much free, technically, right, like free platforms to do this. I mean, arguably, maybe not, because with ads, like you got to run ads now to really make noise. But yeah, initially, right, it's still the same thing. Just kind of put stuff out. just keep putting stuff out, like, and that's really what how we started.
So let's get into that. So I'm assuming it's the same today. You just got to keep putting stuff out.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
So can you tell me about that? Like, do you have a particular like schedule or a number in mind, or how do you go about the content strategy? And then let me know like where you're posting right now. What's most important?
Yeah, like I think it's important to have a strategy. I think, and I'll be like completely candid with you. Like we don't even follow the strategy as we set it out. It's like I could tell myself, yeah, I'm gonna work out 4 times this week. You'll start out 2 weeks, and then those week 3, week 4 and you're just like struggling and just like think. I think that's the same with life as it is with our business. So it's like we can create a strategy like, yo, posting this time is good, posting these types of contents, and your Instagram accounts and all your other kind of accounts have analytics now, and you can kind of review it and figure it out. But I think it's just changing super fast. But yeah, I think but to answer that, yeah, I think having a strategy is very good. Just trying to be as consistent as possible, but
cool.
Don't get so hard on yourself, because you're not going to follow it.
For sure.
Unless you hire someone and pay them and they really do that. But if it's all on you, you're going to have your moments where you're just like, I ain't posting nothing right now. And you're just like, well. Can
you just tell, so you mentioned like you have to place ads nowadays. Like,
it's just too much noise.
So can you tell me, is there any organic?
I think so. Yeah, like okay. TikTok has like in as much as when TikTok first started, you just think it's a silly place to dance and stuff, and and it sounds dumb, but like I was like, all right, make it a TikTok, and then a couple of videos had like 70,000 hits, and then nothing on Instagram had ever had 70,000 hits, but I saw it correlate, right? Like I was like, oh shit, this is getting hits, and then you see a bunch of emails. So you see the like correlation as to when things go viral or whatever, and then you see the emails come in and like, oh, I saw your TikTok, I need this, I need that. Which probably our best product was like our groomsman product, which was like our custom groomsman jersey, which we can any type of sports team or whatever design you want to do, we'll like customize it and all that. That just had the most like that feel. So you kind of then from an ad perspective, then you would just put $5 behind it, put 20, put 30, put 50, put 100, like just, then I would do that because I saw what actually was working and what people like, this groomsman idea. Yeah. And then it just then it would come. And then, it'll have its waves, and then you're like, then it's not performing anymore, and that's fine. But you kind of have to like, just keep trying, and then, then put ads behind it, because the viral stuff is good. You'll have those viral like actual moments where like it's free and it's like, damn, we got hella hits and all this stuff. But yeah, at some point you got to start putting some money behind it, because there's just too much brands out now. There's just too much noise. Do you find a difference in the quality versus the results? Yeah, man. I mean, like we had a recent drop, and it was like I felt was like our best stuff ever. And we sold some, didn't sell as much as I thought we would, but you just never know, man. Like you could put, you can put like thousands of dollars into a drop from, photography, videography, from like, marketing emails and like marketing stuff and graphic design, and the product itself, which isn't cheap. And then you just like have a story behind it and just feels good, and then it doesn't do anything. And then, or it doesn't do as well as you want it to. But those are just lessons, man. But yeah, it happens all the time. And then there's stuff that just be like, you'll think about something so quick because something happens, and you just like, oh, that's the thing. Let me just put something, image, and just do graphic design and just throw it on, and then put a link in. Do people buy it? And then they do, and you're just like,
you barely worked on that. What lesson can you take away from that though?
I think the biggest thing is like that there's no set rule sometimes. And I think the way is like, I guess from clothing perspective, that I guess that's more like our industry, right? And like, and that's there's you can create summer lines and spring lines and all these like perfectly curated things, but sometimes it just might be better to just be quick, off the rip, like hearing things and seeing things and just going with what feels right at that time, and just seeing what happens. And I think the more opportunities you take on, you could lose real quick, or you can earn real quick. But I think it's like the idea of trying as much as you can and trying different things. Do all of it, try all of it until you figure out what works. And so for me, we're still in that process.
How important is that? Is the trends and seasons?
It is.
stuff?
I think
Okay.
it plays a pretty big role, and I think, and that's one thing like even alluding to earlier. It was like not being consistent. It's just kind of like, you try to plan ahead as much as possible, but then just trying to run your business from the day-to-day perspective, like those things will bog you down, and you got to make sure you're taking care of that stuff. So, but just trying to keep ahead of the curve and stay ahead, and just like have moments during the week to think about what's coming ahead, or what are things to plan for.
Right.
So you can like, in the same way, strategize like, oh, hey, those posts weren't working, let's think of a different style, or hey, those aren't, let's try something new, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of have to try to find time to look ahead as much as possible.
You guys really leverage that really well when it comes to like if there's a collab event or whatever, like you guys are using that content. So can you talk about how can you go about that in a professional way, and how can you really like leverage that in your guys' experience?
Like collaborations,
yeah, or just getting content from like you just said.
So like I think one thing for sure that I've learned in the past is like, when you're collaborating with someone that's like, and there's already like a rapport or a business relationship, that's like I'm a big proponent of like, that's my word, it's your word, cool, let's get it done. If things don't happen, then it just messed up the relationship. But from a professional standpoint, if you're collaborating with people that you don't know, probably best to like just a simple like agreement, like, yo, this is what you're doing, it's what I'm doing, cool, what you do, cool. And again, you can go above and beyond it or whatever, but you should still have something in place. But that's from just like a collaborative standpoint. A lot of the content is peer generated, man. Like if we did a cool project with a event or whatever, I'll just, yo, man, can I have some photos? I'll tag you. And it's just like, so I don't have to worry about, because the artists love being tagged as well and being shared. Like, oh man, hit this guy up for projects, or and they would happily love to share the photos with you. And so a lot of times just kind of like it's also kind of an inexpensive route than creating your own budget, which is great. I mean, you should, right? You should have control of your own narrative, control of your own visuals, but yeah, man, as much as you can, just But I find the best collabs to be like, just like, your energy is good, my energy is good. Let's do this. You feeling that? Cool. Let's do it. Let's drop it. Cool. Let's split it. And it's just as simple as that. But then from the like content standpoint, like I'll just give you an example, like the NBA G League. Like we've been able to do merch and apparel designs and jerseys for the G League. So it's like, and there's been times that you've been with me, right? Like, yo, I got my guy, give him a media pass, hey, walk around, let's shoot our own content. But half the time, I mean, every NBA game, G League, WNBA, or the NBA, is like, there's content creators, there's videographers, there's photographers. You just gotta link up with them, or screenshot their Instagram, they're gonna post it. And those guys post immediately. They post by halftime.
Right.
Like they post. So I just pull the content, reshare the stories, and just be connected with them on social, and just share the content, so you're kind of within the ecosystem, because then people will then find you. And then just message the artist directly, or message the photographer and be like, hey man, you cool if I, that's what I do. It's like, hey, you cool if I post it, man? I love the work. Then I just want like a cool cosign, a cool, heart my message, or yo, yeah, for sure, whatever. Some people, I would say 99% of the time, they're like, dude, please share my stuff.
Right.
So that's just kind of how we get around, and why we look bigger than we are. It looks like we're in Atlanta one day, we look like we're in New York the next day. Like, no, man, I'm in my house. I'm at home, man. You know what I mean?
In my garage,
but it's like the idea of that.
Right,
so that's just one way that we've done that.
Because if I see like the really, really big brands like Nike, Adidas, for example, everything is curated specifically, purposely. As smaller business owners, should you take the approach of just like, hey, just put out the content where it's at. Just put it out. Don't worry about the brand identity and like if it matches our colors or blah blah blah.
Yeah,
like that.
I think there's if there is a brand identity already in place, then yes, you should follow that wholeheartedly. And if you're already thinking of those things, then I think it gives you a place to like what content you like, what you want to make, and then it actually can share with like the curators or creators you're working with to like, okay, this is what their voice is, this is what their colors are, this is what their aesthetic looks like. If you already have that though, like, and that's your vision, then please, you should follow that, I think.
Okay.
But when you're just starting out and just kind of like trying to find something and you just want to man, just go.
Just
And
go.
that's kind of where we've created brand identities and like guidelines and stuff like that. But I think we just kind of, with how fast things move and how things change, one post will get 20 likes, the next will get 400. No one really cares.
Right.
I really don't. I mean, I don't think as many people are watching as you think they are.
Cool. I
don't think
that's a good realization to have.
Yeah. I mean, I have to pinch myself too and tell myself that too, because it's like,
don't take yourself too seriously.
Kind of. Like,
yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah, for sure.
Who cares? Like, but
for
yeah,
sure.
I think that's like one thing that I've had to learn through this process. But at the same time, they may not like the post, but they're watching you. Mm-hmm. They're watching.
So how much of the stuff do you put on yourself to do in terms of like content creation, things like that?
Yeah, I think it has its flows, it has its like ups and downs, but for the most part, it's us. So like for the most part, if people DM us, it's us. It's me or Jackie responding. Majority of the posts is us. Obviously, we would like, outsource some of the content, like whether it's like one of our designers, or again, it's like stealing a photo from another person that shot our stuff. So it's like a mixed bag. But yeah, from posting to content to the copy, like it's really usually me. From a skill standpoint, just try to pick up things as you can. Like I've learned to do a little bit more on Photoshop, just so I can make little things or send out graphics for email blasts, and just like you just try to pick up little skills here and there. Learn how to make a reel, learn how to use audios, and then download this and use these apps for, like I got so busy doing Photoshop that I figured out how to use this one app that just like, I don't need to like just take the white background out of my photos, and it looks kind of like. At first, I was like, this app sucks. I like Photoshop. But then I'm like, I just figured out how to use it. And I'm like, yo, this actually looks just as good. And it sucks because it's like, but you got to just find these apps. Like, you just got to find
what works for you.
There's technology, dude. There's so much out there. So you just got to find out what works for you.
Exactly. So, correct me if I'm wrong. You take, when it comes to the actual e-commerce pictures, you take those? Yeah,
for the most part. Some of them are just like Photoshop.
Yeah,
but the majority of like the ones that I do, like I physically take them.
Okay.
And I'm not a photographer. Like I just shoot raw.
It looks good.
Okay, so I shoot.
Yeah.
Like is hack. I don't know if this is not like I'm not breaking any new ground, but I just shoot it in raw.
Yep.
I airdrop it to my computer, throw it in Photoshop,
and
select the subject, add a couple bright, because when you could really tweak with the colors a little bit, and I just maybe a drop shadow, maybe not. Save it in the format I like it, and then it's just like upload it right to the product page, man. And it's just like it looks professional. It's not the best, but it gets the job done, dude. And at the time, it's an actual product photo instead of it being just a Photoshop image.
Exactly.
Which converts better in the long run.
So how important, especially for entrepreneurs who may be just starting or maybe are in the thick of it, but not like not exactly where they want to be, like they didn't scale the business yet or anything. How important do you think it is to have some type of creative skill, whether it's video, photo, audio, like graphic design, writing? How important is it, do you think at all, if at all, to have at least one or multiple of those things?
I think, you got to have at least one. If one is like at least one, have like a superpower, like, yo, I'm just really good at Photoshop, or I'm really good at taking photos. And then, you got to find some help and build some team or hire out to do the rest, right? Because maybe some people just really like write really good captions, or write, come up with really cool product names, or just come up with really cool, like, emails or something, whatever your skill is, like, like hone in on that, but then just try to keep adding as much as you can to just fill in the holes as you're going. Like I've had to figure out how to just do, like little editing here and there of things just to kind of keep it moving.
Okay.
But yeah, like you kind of have to add to your bag, because at the same time, if you're not, if you're not learning, then you're not, if you're not growing, you're dying.
There we go, man.
So
For sure.
That's it. Like that's like my whole mantra. Like if you're not actively learning, or if you're not actively growing, like my plants at home, like you're just gonna just sit in the corner. And I think that's the same with business.
The way that the business world is going, and social media and marketing and stuff, is that the individual is like really empowered to create their own content. They're really like apps are making it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Just in like you can edit your videos on the Reels thing, filters, whatever, everything. There's apps for everything to create your own content, so you don't have an excuse really to not do it yourself, right?
Yes.
And so when I look at today and how it's been the past few years, is there's really two main sides. There's the content creation side, and then there's the marketing strategy side of like how you're getting that stuff out there, and the ad spend side, like those, like to lump them into one. I know it's different. I know it's obviously all different positions and whatever, but those are the two main subcategories, I would say. Would you, if they had to prioritize one to do themselves, would you say it would be the content side, content creation side, or this side?
I think what's more affordable for them at the time, right? Like, in the beginning, you just kind of have to weigh out like what you're willing to spend, and again, time is the same thing as like money, right? It's like I said, I was spending 4 hours doing a design when I can just pay someone to do it 5 designs in the same time instead of me doing that. So that became, okay, that's an easy fix. I'm gonna go. I'd rather pay and work with an artist to partner with and work with that. Then in the same time with the photography is like, I think we can get away with just a good product photo that I can take at home, edit it, make it look shiny, and then and then give it, get some peer content, like people who bought it or people who I gift it to. Then we can take a couple photos and that's it. Or then you just figure out like, oh no, I think this one we gotta go, like gotta rent the space. Let's get a white backdrop. Let's get 2 photographers. Like then you can build out the whole thing, and just wherever you're at, like you just gotta figure out what's affordable, man.
Well, the reason I bring that up because at the beginning of the podcast, you talked about how you put a lot of effort into this one drop in terms of the content creation, and it didn't do near as well as something you just created yourself and threw up there.
Yeah.
So, because I see that more, I see that myself more. I'm like, and this is kind of what sucks for a sucky reality for like someone for myself who does the content creation for clients, is that, to be honest, I feel like we'll be replaced real soon just by the individual entrepreneurs just going to start doing it themselves, everything. That's how I feel. The
technology is already kind of doing that, right? Like, whether it's recording on your phone, whether it's, like I said, just taking, like our smartphones are going to have you can shoot movies on them. You can shoot high-end photos. You can take really clear photos. You could make it look so from if I was like but again, those apps still won't take away the skill of like a professional who does this for a living, who has the eye for it.
Yeah.
So but so like those people will always still exist. I feel like at the end of the day, like the person behind it will always still, I think, still be better than, just trusting all the apps to just do it for you.
Right. Yeah, because you still got to do it yourself.
Yeah.
It's just that the tools are now more available, I guess. You talked about how every company, big or tiny, is actually a media company. They just don't know it yet.
I actually do remember this conversation we had, actually. Yeah, I recall this. So yeah, I think just because of the world we live in now, where everyone's broadcasting their own lives, whether they're a brand or just a person, like regular people promote lives, right? And I say that because it's kind of like at the end of the day, you're still branding something. You're like, that's why people have their personal page and then they have the business page. But the personal page could be just as important, because if people find you, or people find your brand, like, who's running this brand? This brand seems cool. Oh, this person is the CEO, the owner, right? Whatever, founder. And then I think that in and itself is a potential, that's branding as well. That's your presence. That's who you are. Like, then it'll make sense. It'll correlate, like, oh, they really do love this thing. So if your brand, I'll just say, like, for us, like, we're very in the basketball niche space. We've expanded to other sports, but like, if I find a brand that I like and I want to trust that brand, are they authentic? Like, who's running that brand? For the example, there's brands who could be running all this basketball ideas or merch, but at the end of the day, they don't play ball, they don't hoop, they don't know the game. Yeah. How authentic is that? Right. So when I say, like, when I guess we're saying in media, like, I guess social media is so important. It sucks that it is that important, but it is from like a, I guess, branding standpoint, that like you're also like you have to think of like the things you talked about, strategy.
Yeah.
You have to think about branding. How does your products look? What's your website look like? So yeah, from that perspective, I think every company has to think about being a media company or is a media company, whether you're selling candles or like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. I feel like you have to think about what does your brand look like in the media space.
The sucky side about social media and all this stuff is like, you don't really have privacy anymore. It's hard to be private. Your kind of everyone's life is on display. But at the same time, the authenticity of people really shines.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, if you're being fake, if you're trying to be someone you're not, it'll show easily.
Yeah.
Right. And it matters more. Authenticity matters more than ever.
I think that's the realest thing ever. And so, and then in the same way where you could say something stupid and, say what you want or agree with, or however this cancel culture that we live in, it's kind of, I think sometimes a little bit overboard, but the truth is that's also part of your brand. Who you are, what you say, who you are. It's kind of like, because people do that all the time, don't they? Then they're like, oh, I don't want to support that company because the owner did this before. Maybe it's dumb, but that's also kind of like part of your kind of like your voice or your branding or your marketing or kind of like what you are perceived as in the media. But yeah, man, once you go out there and once you start putting out there, it's like you got to be ready for all that.
Yeah.
Ready for your personal life to kind of be looked at or judged. But you just got to be like, it's not that serious. But yeah, I think it, done right and done correctly and done with like authenticity, I think everyone has a chance to win because they're just being themselves. And so whatever you choose to do, whatever that path is, or that thing you're selling or that thing you're doing or want to monetize or capitalize on, as long as you're, true to self and authentic, you're going to succeed. And that's why maybe the content doesn't have to be so perfect. You just has to be like real.
Dude, perfect closing statement.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you, Kevin. You want to plug in your socials really quick?
Oh, New Jersey Sets, NewJerseySets.com, at New Jersey Sets, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, I think is at New Jersey Sets with an underscore. I don't know. Custom jerseys, apparel,
Dude,
design,
check
stuff.
it out. If anyone follows Mark Cabrera Media, we have, the uniforms we always wear, the shoots are made by them. Dude, it was a good time, man. I appreciate it. Man. I appreciate it, dude.
It's an awesome setup here, bro. I can't leave. Do it again.
All right.
I got the fist bump after.
See, now we know that's being left in that whole entire thing, so it doesn't matter anymore.
Nah, but this is great, man. Thank you.
Cool, man. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.